Hey guys, this is Austin, and today I'm here with the review of the Nokia Lumia 1020. Now this is a very special phone for one reason, a ridiculous 41 megapixel camera, so let's take a look. As far as the design goes, you'd be hard pressed to tell it apart from a Lumia 920 from the front. Only when you flip it around do you notice the bulge for the camera and Xeon flash. It does make laying the phone down on its back a bit weird sometimes, but it really wasn't a big deal. And yes, I'll go over camera performance in a minute. You'll find all of your buttons along the right edge, including volume rocker, sleep wake, and two-stage shutter button for focusing and snapping a picture. It's still available in some flashy colors like this yellow, and in typical Nokia fashion, the build quality is top-notch. It's made out of a fantastic polycarbonate that's both matte and incredibly soft to the touch, giving it a great feel in the hand. I'm a big fan of metal in smartphones, but I've got to say props to Nokia. The 1020 is a solid and well-built phone. On board, you'll find a familiar sight, a 4.5-inch 1280 by 768 screen running Windows Phone 8. Spec-wise, the phone isn't really anything special. The screen is good without being able to match the excellent 1080p displays on the HTC One or Galaxy S4. A feature I found surprisingly useful is that the screen will show you the time when it's not in your pocket, which doesn't seem to have much of a battery life penalty. It has a 1.5 GHz dual-core Snapdragon S4 along with 2 GB of RAM, and while that's hardly groundbreaking, it's good enough for Windows Phone. Navigating around the OS is nice and snappy, and with the 2 GB of RAM, multitasking works well, allowing you to jump in and out of apps without much delay. With such a high megapixel camera, thankfully Nokia has included 32 GB of storage standard with the phone. Battery life is alright. It only has a 2000 mAh battery, which was just enough to last me through a normal day. However, keep in mind that shooting pictures and video will eat into your battery quickly. I won't go too in-depth into Windows Phone 8 as it's practically identical to what you'll find on other phones like the Lumia 920, but two big things stick out to me. First of all, while slowly but surely app support is getting better, there's still a lot missing. Seriously, there's no Instagram on a phone with a ridiculously great camera. The game selection is mediocre, especially considering the Xbox Live integration, and some of the apps that are here don't quite match up to their iOS and Android counterparts. The biggest problem for me, as someone who uses a lot of Google stuff, is none of it's here. At all. There's a Google search app which is nothing special, but beyond that you had better get used to using the mobile sites. Gmail and Google Calendar support is alright, but apps like Hangouts, Google Plus, and Drive are all missing any sort of official apps. By far the most important part of the Lumia 1020, however, is the camera. It can be summed up very easily. This is the best camera you'll find on a phone, period. Like its spiritual successor, the PureView 808, it's packing an almost absurd 41 megapixel sensor. With so many pixels to work with, you can zoom way in after the fact without losing much quality at all. You can also get some pleasant depth of field to really isolate your subject, which is something that's much harder to achieve with other phones. Image quality is very good with decent dynamic range and stupid amounts of detail. When you snap a shot, the phone saves two files, one full resolution shot and one 5 megapixel picture that's been oversampled. This makes it a lot easier to share. The full res shots can be over 12 megabytes, which is too big for many places online. With so many pixels crammed into the sensor, raw pictures are a bit soft, but the oversampled versions sharpen up things nicely, although this does add a bit of noise in some shots. To go along with the new camera, Nokia has a Pro Camera app, which is great. If you just want a quick shot, you can snap away in full auto mode, which is smart and good about nailing the exposure and focus. With a simple flick though, you can have manual control over exposure, shutter speed, ISO, focus, and white balance. With the camera this good, being able to really fine-tune your image can be a huge help. For example, when shooting in low light and auto mode, the Lumia can't quite pull in as much light as the excellent HTC One, but it does a terrific job of keeping noise in check. Take control with a longer exposure, however, and you can really pull off nice shots in practically no light. The only downside is that the dual-core CPU inside the Lumia does take a couple seconds to process each shot, but thankfully there's no lag anywhere else in taking the picture. Video is fantastic as well. With image stabilization, quiet focusing, and an impressive smart autofocus algorithm, the phone can give you some very nice looking files. Since you have so many megapixels to work with, digital zoom in video doesn't hurt the quality much, allowing you to get some shots you absolutely couldn't get on any other phone. The stabilization and focus can get a bit weird if you're walking, and manual controls during video basically boil down to zooming with the white balance, focus, and video light needing to be set before you hit record. If you're not a camera geek, a lot of that probably didn't make much sense, but as someone who shoots photos almost entirely on smartphones, this stuff is very, very exciting. The Nokia Lumia 1020 is what Windows Phone has needed for a while now, a killer app. The camera is absolutely the best you'll find on any phone, and for a lot of people that's going to be enough to switch. Now, is it perfect? Definitely not. Even though Windows Phone has seen some major improvements lately, it is still lacking behind in a few key areas. And while the specs are pretty decent, both the screen and the internals are only okay. They really don't match up to some of the newest and latest phones, including the Samsung Galaxy S4, as well as the HTC One, and soon to be the Apple iPhone 5S. With an on-contract price of $300, this isn't for everyone, but it is the most exciting phone I've tried in quite a while. So if you have to have the best camera, look no farther than the Nokia Lumia 1020. So now that you've seen my review, what do you think of the latest Lumia phone? Is it something that you would pick up, or are there too many compromises? Definitely be sure to let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review and you want to see more, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel here on YouTube so you never miss another video. Anyway guys, I will catch you next time.